flowers on stage.
It might not be what you want, and you have to, surrender to the flow, to the majority, um, and hopefully you surrounded yourself with good enough people where you could trust their judgment, you know. But all that's figured out before you even get in the band because you wouldn't be allowed into that club unless you were on the level, you know. So yeah, I think being reflexive, resilient and reflexive because it's everything's always changing. People's attitudes, the world around you, the situation you might find yourself in. So, yeah, being aware, reflexive, resilient, and, you know, you stick up for your point, but definitely need to just be open to other people's and go with the flow.
The democratic process.
I mean, democracy is messy, so it takes a combination of skills and tactics to make it survive. Other than it being, you can't just have one way. A lot of different, you know, uh, tactics for different situations. But democracy's the way.
Hopefully a less messy form.
Yeah. And bands, yes. I mean, there's bands out there where one person just calls the shots. And that's fine and all, but that just means it's a way different thing. I do like bands that everyone gets to put in their 2 cents.
Mm. Outside of being, reflexive, able to play nicely with others, kind of like you just alluded to, you personally, what would you say are the main, like, kind of core personality traits in people you work with, people you play with that you just kind of appreciate and admire the most? Kind of some intangible qualities.
Work ethic. This in my, this stage of the game, it's like time is limited. So early on, you had all the time in the world to hang out with your boys and practice all day. And now when you have like, we have this 1 3 hour practice we had to schedule a month out, you know, you have to come in prepared.
Mm. What else comes to mind other than preparation?
Um, well, a good attitude. You certainly want it to be a positive experience. Work is work, so don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people out there you don't get to always have like the best coworkers. You're in a situation, you just have to make the best of it. But that's where good attitude, I think, will take all, like whoever's being a sourpuss or whatever, your positive mental attitude is going to triumph in the end and be something that people want to work around. So yeah, a good attitude I find is important, especially in our art form, because music to me is about joy and it's a language, it's communicating. So if you're on stage with people you can't communicate with off stage, how's that going to translate? So I think it's important to you know have a positive mental attitude so that the communication is open and fun and free.
And I love that you brought up attitude. I feel like one thing with your playing is you play with an attitude. Like I feel like you play with like this like a little like relentless tenaciousness kind of. I'd love to hear like you with your musical style. Where do you feel like that tenacious kind of attitude comes from for you?
Well, it definitely comes from the rock and roll spirit, the rock and roll rebellion. Um, just because I grew up with rock, I mean, maybe it could be if I grew up with jazz, maybe I'd still have a little bit of it because I feel rock and roll's a part of it, but I also feel being from Connecticut and the Northeast in general. Connecticut's a small state. We're all on top of each other, and we just have a little bit of a fire in our spirits where you travel around the country, things are just a little slower, a little more relaxed, or a little different energy wise. And I find like, geez, why am I this way?
Ditto.
And then granted, everyone's different. I mean, there's people probably born in Connecticut who are on the chill side where like they need to move to an island or California and chill out, and they're like, okay, and we're not all like me. But yes, from a young age, I've always been rambunctious and just like looking to be wild, fun, crazy, physical, um, just have fun. But I like I like being active. So I think that translates to the music where I'm trying to get into a meditative state musically still, but it's to like open the scope. It's not to like wind down. It's to more like, oh, let me travel at the speed of light kind of um, channeling of energy. Pure. I'm looking for purity.
That inner Connecticut child getting kicked out of class all the time.
Yeah. Just want to surf the universe.
So jumping a little to the side, talking about Luke, Jesse, and Mike. Would love to hear some of the things you've come to appreciate most and like admire from the inside perspective you have about the other guys in Lotus.
Okay. Well, I've known Mike the longest, and his drumming impressed me right off the bat when I saw him with the Ally. And that could have been the year 2000, I would say. And yeah, so I've always respected his playing and the tightness of it, his technique. I could tell he had chops, but was applying them very musically. And then, yeah, we always kept in touch. And I know he was like almost pursuing a doctor thing for a while. And so he's a smart guy. And then came back to music, which I'm thankful for because now I get to play with him, you know? And Luke and Jesse, I've known over the years playing with Lotus, but we never, I guess, hung out as much as Mike and I did over the years. So joining the band is how I really got to know Jesse and Luke. And they're brilliant guys. They're twins, so their force is powerful. Together, they have an unspoken thing with each other. And they're very similar in ways and very different in ways, but both brilliant and so well versed in this, electronica music that I'm just learning a lot all the time because they make references towards artists and or genres, subgenres that I'm like, what does that term mean? So yeah, I'm loving it. Lotus is a learning experience for me every day, and 4 years in, it's still always a learning experience.
Yeah, so with where you're at now, like what would you say growth and improvement like looks like for you?
Well, it's still, I mean, no matter what, I'm more confident now with the genres and guitar parts, but I still feel like I could even have more confidence with certain parts. Because it's mainly like the jams that they're, like I would just mention, they're referencing subgenres of electronica via their sounds and or styles that they all seem to like know where they're at. And I'll be like, okay, what goes here? Instead of just knowing what goes there. I have to think about it a little bit. Granted, no matter what I play, it's holding to rules that I've set for myself that work for electronica. And so it's going to work no matter what. It's my confidence about it of like knowing like, yeah, this belongs here. This is the right part for it. Because it could be the notes I play or how many or little of them. But then it's also the sound of the note. Should that be distortion? Should I get dreamy here? Should I just go completely punk anti niceness, like, noise? Should I approach this from a noise perspective? And really, it's improvising. So I could choose any one of those lanes, you know? Main thing is once you choose a lane, you stick to it and you commit to it. And then because we're all listening, they'll make room for it and work around it as much as I will now make room for them and work around them utilizing that sound I chose, the lane I took.
And believing in the lane with
And
full
believing in the
confidence.
lane. Yeah, I mean, no matter what, this is the road. Go, drive. See you at the end. See you at the
We're on
finish
it.
line. Yeah, but this is where it's like I like being on the road with Lotus. When we take long breaks, I have to reacclimate myself, you know, a little more. But when we're on the road and it's just gig after gig, it's like, yes, I'm in the zone. And sometimes I'll listen to old Lotus, where they came from. Sometimes I'm listening to my favorite electronica and just picking an instrument out because there's not always guitar. So it's like I'm gonna play that auxiliary percussion part, or I'm mimicking the bass line and just getting into the energy levels of that. So it could be a little of everything. I have my own Lotus warm up guitar kind of playlist on Spotify
The
that
whole
I tap
world.
into. Yeah.
Zooming out, I'd love to hear you just talking about life. You, Tim's thoughts on life. What's something like a belief you've held for a long time that maybe now you kind of see differently?
Ooh, a belief on life that I've had a long time that now I see differently.
Yeah, or maybe a belief you had growing up that now as an adult you see in a different way.
Hmm. Well, growing up and just being into music, I always thought like, you know, talent would get you to the top, but it's more than just talent, This is where work ethic comes in to play and attitude, and there's a lot of factors to be successful, and it's not just talent. So that has changed. But also, what is success has changed. So what I thought was success growing up doesn't mean success necessarily. I think that's a little more subjective. What is success to a person? So that has been redefined because I'm very happy where I am at now in my career, and I view it as success. Do I want more money and a little more success? Sure, but I actually would like to prevent success from getting too far because I don't want to lose autonomy, or I don't want to lose, I don't know, just like the regularness of life. I don't want to lose that being able to do things when I think about some rock stars and what they deal with fans and all that. It's just like, man, that doesn't sound like fun. And I wouldn't want that to take away from the fun aspect of making art and the career. So that's definitely changed over time. um Other than that, I don't really know. I mean, whatever you believe, it's almost like the lane thing we just said. You got to believe it wholeheartedly, and mentally you'll be better off. So it's not a matter of which, I mean, different religions will suit you in your psychology and your DNA, but ultimately pick one and then go with it 100%.
Mhm.
you know, because that'll be mentally the most healthy for sure. Um, and then what else in life? What else matters in life?
That's an age-old question.
Yeah, I mean, this is where material things are fun and nice to have. Don't get me wrong, because I love them, but it's definitely not about that. It's more about memories and having good memories and living life. Like doing things with people and having that memory. That's more important than the material thing, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And I learned that multiple ways. Um, Certainly having instruments stolen over the years makes you realize, okay, well, my favorite guitar is gone, so it was just a material thing. I'll buy another guitar. Fine. you know, I'm glad I have my health. I'm glad I have, friends and family and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, jumping back to what you were saying about defining success. Like
Yes.
growing up, like yeah, there's like this materialistic view of the rock star success or success in whatever field. And then, I can infer like more enlightened view of success where it's like more intangible, and for you, like talking about not wanting to get to this rock star level of success where, you can't go get a coffee without a bunch of
Yeah,
girls screaming at you.
yeah.
Not that that's probably not what you already deal with over in Connecticut, but yeah, like if there's maybe your younger cousin on the phone and they're
Hmm.
like, how should I define success? How would you maybe answer that?
Yeah, that's a good question because it's got to satisfy, excuse me, a few areas of life. And so you want to be able to pay the bills. You have to be an adult. You have to pay bills. That means, you have to have work. So as long as you're getting calls for work and you have a good job that you like and you could pay the bills, then that's success to me. And then obviously save. Um, what is security sometimes? Like, yes, we all need money for retirement. We want to think long term. So that's important. But, anyone can just get fired from their job too, and situations change overnight. So security, is that's a little wonky to
So let's
like
say you
try to,
have a little security, you got a little income, your bills are
yeah,
paid. Like that's
all that. Then I think you're successful at that point.
so is it
Um,
from there? Is it just coasting? Like what's
Yeah,
next?
but it's not coasting because, ambition, I'm ambitious and I still have a lot I want to do and accomplish. And I think that's where work ethic comes in and just like insatiability. It's like I'm comfortable with what I have, but I just want I love music. Music is everything. Art is everything. And so I want to be making it as long as I can. And so I have to stay healthy because my body is my instrument. So health is wealth, and yeah, and then just gotta keep doing it. Just stay relevant because the world is changing around us. So I want to be appreciated and still have people call me for work. But I like to think being a musician is recession proof because art is necessary for humanity and will always have a spot in society, a function.
Mm.
I think it's important. I don't think AI is going to replace us fully.
I'm interested in how you kind of merge that insatiability with like an idea of success. Like, do you see how those two things are kind of at odds with each other?
Yeah, because success means like you've hit a destination, and then insatiability is like there is no destination.
Yeah, like what's
You
the
know.
right if you were talking to yourself, like what's the right mind frame around the concept?
Yeah, I mean it's an ongoing process. So I don't want to say I've ever attained it because yeah, like and why do anything more? But then again, I'm not gonna deny what I have achieved. Um, but I just want to make sure that I'm healthy to continue playing guitar at the level that I know I want to play at, because
Mm.
my brain has thoughts and needs to them to be translated here. And then as you get older, you're like, oh boy. So you got to stay healthy so that you can continue outletting all these thoughts that my brain comes up with because it's like my own therapy too. I'm thankful it's my job, but yeah, I'd go insane if I wasn't able to play guitar because I could translate good emotions and outlet them, or I could, process bad emotions and outlet them and be a better person at the end of the day. So I am thankful for my music in that regard, but insatiability and success, yeah, no matter what, just got to keep pushing forward. You rest, you rust.
Mm.
So, and music is thankfully not like playing baseball. Baseball, there's a ceiling there. At some point you hit an age and a physical limitation. You cannot play baseball anymore. I mean, you'll play in fun leagues and stuff, but not the major leagues. But music allows you to still participate in the major leagues until you're ready to hang it up. So staying healthy is important. But yeah, I like the fire. Keep the fire burning. Thus is life, you know? I mean, there's probably no clear answer for just one person. Everyone's different, you know? And what could have worked for you in your 20s doesn't necessarily work in the 30s or the 40s or your 60s or 70s.
Mm.
So you got to listen to what your body's telling you. But I think it's still important to like, stoke the fire in whatever way you can as you keep going, you know? Um, yeah, because you rest your rust. The brain will, your body's going to fail once your brain fails. So I read this article about Okinawan women who knit, or not knit, but they make fabrics, and because of how finite their hand motions are and the focus, they live longer than anyone,
Mm.
and certainly more than the men because of that one job. So you got to keep the brain sharp, and then hopefully you can maintain your physical sharpness as well. But I don't know. Did I answer the question? I'm just
Yeah,
like,
well, and I'll clean that one up.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just to add to it, it's like I still have more things to do. So um, I want to achieve my goals before I'm gone. That's for sure.
I want to put a pin in that, jump to the side a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, would you say that playing music is like a spiritual thing for you?
Absolutely. It absolutely is a spiritual thing because somehow melody and harmony are tied to emotions. And so, those emotions, it brings both, positive and negative, and it allows you to process emotions. And I feel like we're tapping into that spiritual side of like, why are we here and stuff. You ask bigger questions. And so, yeah, it starting off as, when I'm a kid, it's making me feel certain ways. That's a sad song. That's happy. This is puzzling. This is, retrospective, all sorts of things. This is enlightening. This is exciting. But as you start getting older and maturing and then asking questions about God, religion, why we're here, all that kind of stuff, um, I find that when I'm soloing, yeah, I'm just being. I'm not doing necessarily. I've shut off. Yeah, I'm doing what I'm reacting instantly to the musicians around me, yet I'm not controlling it in a way. I've done all the practicing so that my hands and ears and brain are doing what they're supposed to be doing, but it's just automatic. And so, where does that come from? Where's that impetus behind the what's happening in the moment? And so that to me is why it's spiritual. I think it's connected to energy being, you know, in all living things, never ceasing to exist. And we are all just energy, given to us from the universe and the Big Bang. And I think we're all connected from a bigger thing and a little more of a scientific thing that we can measure so far than something we don't know about.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I read
Sometimes religion, it's like, oh, we're all God's children, but then there's so many different religions. Like, are you God's children or are you God's children over there? It's like, I mean, it's just they're all mental constructs dividing versus looking at it macro for what we can know and measure. It's like, I just feel like it's an undercurrent. It's constantly there. It's the energy behind the light switch. Like, and
mm,
the switch, you just switch it on and now you made the
yeah, but it was
connection
already
and light's
pulsing
going.
through.
But
It
yeah,
just needed
there's
to be.
exactly, but it's behind there the whole time. So it's almost like that. Okay, ready to solo now, switch on, energy running through, and you're making sense out of it. Um,
Mm.
you're giving it, you're molding it and sculpting it.
If you had to kind of take a shot in the dark, what would you say it is about music that can cause for it to heal people?
Hmm. I want to say vibrations, just like what we're talking about with energy and science, where matter, I mean, atoms vibrate, molecules, everything is vibrating different speeds. And we only see this band and we only hear this band and can't see or hear this band up here. And so I just feel like I called it once in one of my songs in the breakfast, happy tickle tones. It's just like it just rubs you the right way. And everyone's got a different version of what those happy tickle tones are. I mean, some people want to hear, you know, death metal. And then some people
We
want,
all get tickled in different ways.
yeah, some people want classical. And, some people want tone bowls or gongs. And then you got Skrillex. And so, to each his own on this ball spinning around the sun. Yeah, main thing is to be open to it all, you know. I think that's important. The wide array of human experience. I think that's important.
How would you say that the time you spent on stage performing has like shaped your personality or changed you at all?
Hmm, interesting. Well, it makes me thankful that I'm able to make so many people happy in one shot, you know. But whether I'm in front of 1,000 or seven, I'm still gonna have the same. I have the same mission, and I'm gonna treat it the same with the same tenacity, you know. And tenacity was a word I learned in martial arts as a young kid. And I don't know if I ever understood it much, but as I got older, I appreciated the word more and absolutely am all about what the word means, you know? Um, you know, uh, you can get a bloated opinion of yourself with that much attention. So I think it's also important to stay humble and realize, you put your pants on just like everyone else. And because you've seen it a ton of times where entertainers, they just get full of themselves because they're so used to people looking back at them in that one way of like awe and everything. And you get an inflated sense of self. So I've actually used that a little bit to keep myself in check.
Would love to hear any kind of, authors or books that have had an impact on you that you've read throughout your life, that are notable for you here.
Oh yeah. um so many. I mean, um wasn't much of a reader growing up, or at least books anyway. I was more like comics, Mad Magazine, and stuff like that. Um,
Like three books about like kind of about life, not as much like fiction novels that if you only could have read three in your life, maybe which would you pick?
oof. Oh, this is impossible. Yeah, I was gonna go through just now like a chronological read
Start at
this and
Mad
then I
Magazine and work your
yeah,
way
I
up
mean
to
well,
Spider-Man.
in high school, once I started experimenting with substances, Timothy Leary
Mm.
got me on a path of reading. I read a Timothy Leary book or two, and then that turned into The Beats, Jack Kerouac, On the Road, Ginsberg, Burroughs, and then that turned into just wanting to read everything. Hemingway classics. You know, all the books in school that I didn't read that I should have, revisiting them. Um, but authors that have changed me that I love: Tom Robbins, who recently just passed, Kurt Vonnegut, Joseph Campbell, Power of Myth, um, Bill Moyers, who just passed recently, PBS interviewer, and also did The Power of Myth with Joseph Campbell. Mortimer J. Adler, who was like a college professor, long since gone. Um, some more writers. Alan Watts, love Alan Watts. Uh, yeah, I already mentioned Ginsberg. Um, hmm. And then, everything now, it's like I just love fiction uh, that is, life changing in a way. I like silly fiction too. I want to just be taken away on a story. But then I do like fiction that's a little deeper. Um, But I mean, the classics, I find so much joy and I learn so much from the classics because not only is, like the human story is the same over what, 20,000 years and it's just different times and places, but then I get to learn about what was it like in New York City in the 1920s, or what was it like in Rome in the 1700s and stuff. So that's why I like diving into the classics and seeing what society was like back then, and the social mores, and just life in general. So yeah, I'm trying to think of the more notable ones without having to just roll through everything.
No mention of Dr. Seuss?
Dr. Seuss, sure. I mean, Roald Dahl, I've been reading some to my kid. That's fun and playful. I love biographies, plenty of, biographies about my favorite musicians. That's been a lot of fun. Because I try to, the thing is, I'll be reading philosophy and the books get heavy. And then I just try to lighten it up with a fiction or lighten it up with a biography.
Break out some Cat in the Hat. Can never go wrong. Some green eggs and ham.
Yeah. Hmm, yeah. I guess I named all most of the important ones
That's
for
a
now.
solid rabbit hole for me
Yeah.
to go down here.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as philosophy, I mean, I didn't mention, I mean, Herman Hesse. I definitely liked a lot of his books. And who else? Jeez. Uh, Aldous Huxley, of course. I do like even his nonfiction stuff. I appreciate his works. Let me see. What do I have in what's on the to-do list to read? I got a Mark Twain over here I got to get into.
Marky Twain. Yes, the guy.
Yep, I have Jay Dilla book that I want to read.
Oh man, didn't know he was an author.
Well, it's going to be about him and all that stuff.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I Roger Corman book about making movies. That's where it's like it's a little of everything. Um,
Well read, Tim.
yep, some Howard Zinn, um, even some. I've been reading psychology books lately, getting into just you know cults and what makes people do what people do. And that's been wild because I realized how easily manipulated we are, or can be. And the brain is hardwired for survival from a long time ago. These machines are 200,000 years old, and here we are, 2025, and you don't need to leave your apartment, like you said. You could just
Mhm.
stay here in this comfort zone. But is that really what our body needs or our mind needs? And so we're it's not about faster, stronger, taller. It's about um, communication and being social. That's really what is survival. And that's why positive mental attitudes help to be successful, and being tenacious and communicative and resilient, all the things we mentioned earlier, if I could tie the whole interview together. And, uh, and then if you have a gift with language, you can easily manipulate people, whether they're smart or not, or strong or not, because you can connect to their emotions, and then you could play with that. And then their rationale is going to then fit their emotions via
Mhm.
versus the other way around. So that has been an interesting rabbit hole.
All right, my last question for you. If you could share a piece of advice about living a life that you can like look back on and be proud of, what would you maybe say?
Well, um, yeah, what would I say? Well, did I make people happy? Did I provide some solace and comfort in their lives? Because I do feel art has that function, as well as have I helped people to grow and learn and better themselves, um, or the world. That's also a part of it. And then, the part I'm trying to figure out right now is how best can I leave this world in a better place for my kids and nieces. So, I still have to figure that out because it's like, man, with all the things I read, I'm not building bridges and I'm not figuring out how to feed the world. And like I'd love to be able to do something that is just huge, for people to ease, to make life better. I just play guitar. So how do I play guitar?
For now.
Yeah, for now, how do I use my strength that I was born to do? I'm a guitar player naturally. I just picked it up at 4. It worked, and here I am, 46. So what can I do with my powers to better the world? And then that's what I think I'll be able to rest easy, being like, I did it, you know?
Well, there's a lot more than just fingers on a guitar to an artist. And man, it's
Sure.
freaking awesome to see, what's inside the crystal ball of yours over there. Man, appreciate you, dude, taking this time. Absolutely love this, man. And everyone out there listening, we got links in the description. Grab your tickets to see Lotus on tour this winter. Can't wait for 2 nights at Cervantes here in Denver. We got a link. And yeah, Tim, any final words for everyone out there listening?
Excited about the new album. Hope everyone enjoys it. Still go out and see live music as much as you can. Um, we're what, 5 years past COVID now, or 4 years, but it's like it's time to get back out there, face to face, eye to eye, person to person, you know, just being together and not on the screens and home having everything delivered to you. So let's go out and be a community together and have fun.
Hell yeah, Tim. Can't wait to see you IRL and smooth travels out there, man.
Excellent. Thank you, Cam.
This is Flowers on the Stage.